Good evening, everybody. This is Oceanus. I'm here with a couple of stories actually, but I think they're important. So this is about a debanking order that the Trump administration was going to pursue. Essentially, what they were going to do was debank, or require. They were going to sign an executive order that could have required banks to collect and report more information on the immigration status of their customers. But after Wall Street and small community lenders pushed back, this order has been delayed. And what they said was, apparently, in meetings with administration officials, representatives of the banking industry argued that requiring millions of existing customers to provide records verifying their citizenship status was not practical. The delay has not been previously reported, and such an order could still be revived, said the people who spoke anonymously to discuss private discussions, but it is expected to be significantly narrowed from the earlier drafts. Now, I would really love to read this entire story. Unfortunately, you can't go on news sites these days without seeing these paywalls. So I'm not able to access this full story. I'm just going to have to base my analysis on what I'm seeing here. And I think that's really unfortunate. Like, seriously? I hate paywall news articles. I really do. Especially if they're democracy dies in darkness. Democracy dies behind a paywall, more like it. Yeah, Washington Post. But anyway. These people, they're saying it's not practical. How so? In my opinion, anybody who is an illegal immigrant in this country at all, or anybody who should not be in this country, a legal immigrant, a tourist, a person who doesn't have explicit permission to be here, should not be allowed to do banking in this country whatsoever. And I don't see how it's unpractical. I have to. And this is just like the stupid stuff that goes on with the whole Save America Act debate, where it's like, oh well, it's not practical for people to get their ID, show it to the voting booth, show their papers. What are you talking about? I have to show my papers everywhere I freaking apply to get jobs. Everywhere I go, I'm always having to supply a social security number, my birth certificate, my driver's license, sometimes my passport, and a few other documents. And I have to be able to provide it on the spot, or else I can't even get into the application process. You're telling me that these banks have not been keeping records of the people who are doing business with them? That doesn't sound right. That sounds like it would be really easy to defraud a bank if you didn't have these documents, if they didn't know who the heck they were doing business with. I'm pretty certain I had to provide a bunch of documents when I got my checking and savings account open. Yeah, you're saying that the requiring millions of existing customers to provide records verifying their citizenship status is unpractical? How so? We live in an era where you can literally send out an email asking for information and then have that information in your face by like in seconds at best. You cannot tell me that it's impractical to ask this unless you're using, I don't know, paper, pen, envelope, whatever, like they did in the 1910s, with no mass communications, no digital footprint, nothing. You can't tell me that you can't get these records if you're a giant multinational bank. You can't tell me that you don't know who you're doing business with, that there's no record at all of people that you're in business with. That makes no sense to me. Yes, I understand that confidentiality is a thing, but that doesn't extend to law-breaking activities. And being here in the U.S. illegally is breaking the law. So it is common sense for any organization, especially a bank, to know who their customers are, where they come from, to have their information on hand. Otherwise, it just doesn't make sense. You can't. I have to. In the United States, you have to register for a bunch of things in order to live here. You don't have a choice either. You have to register for car insurance. That's not optional here. For example, you have to register for the Selective Service System if you're male. That's not optional. You have to have a social security number. A social security card, that's not optional. We have records on every citizen in this country, and yet you're telling me that it is impractical for the banks to gather the records of their clients. It's a digital age. You can't go anywhere, as much as you may hate it. You cannot go anywhere without leaving a form of digital footprint, unless you're a freaking Ted Kaczynski and living in the woods with no internet, no nothing. Like, the government can find you. You can be contacted by spam callers or junk salesmen or whatever. You're inconvenienced daily. Yet you're telling me that the bank can't find out who's banking with them? That's really weird, isn't it? Dang. I wish I had the impracticality of being found that these legal aliens apparently have. It would make my life a whole lot more easier. No. No. This is covering. The banks don't want to lose their customers. The lenders don't want to lose their customers. Because unfortunately, as it is, illegal aliens can spend money. Like, you can spend money anywhere, no matter where you are, illegally or not. You can use services, you can use whatever you want to. And the banks are a service, and they get money by having these clients. And by doing so, they get the prestige of having the most clients of any bank and whatnot still, and these lenders as well. So this is why they don't want it done. And in my opinion, the Trump administration needs to say, we're doing it anyways. Because here's the thing. These people, these banks and everything, they think in the short term. Yes, if this happens, they'll be damaged in the short term. That's undeniable. It's the same thing with the tariffs and everything else. Long term, though, it will be better for everybody, because the illegal aliens will be gone. And we won't have to do this every few years. But no, no one ever thinks long-term these days. It's always a short-term game. But yeah, so there's this. This is one story. This is the bad story that sucks. And I hope the administration reverses course on this and goes hard on this, because it would help out a lot. If you can't bank here, if you're illegal, they'll be more likely to head home. Having ICE around is great, but you need to stop the incentives for coming here as well. Anyways, in good news, the pace of ICE arrests have topped 1,100 people per day on average this year, far higher than their last spring of roughly 600 arrests per day, according to new data reviewed by the New York Times. That's amazing. That's great. I mean, it could be higher, but we're heading in the right direction. There's millions of illegal aliens in this country that need to be thrown out. And yes, 1,100 people per day is well off from the mark that we need in order to effectively get down the millions that have been here illegally. But it is a start, and it's going up. That is good. But yet again, I can't read the story because I'm not subscribed to the Boston Globe. And I'm not going to pay I'm not going to pay to be subscribed to these news sites. So I'm only allowed to just tell you what the headline is. Like, I don't have the money to pay for this stuff. Apparently, you can only access information now if you're rich or wealthy or have the money to get a subscription on these news sites. Now, mind you, I have a Substack myself. I don't paywall my stuff often, but when I do, it's very rare. I don't have many paying subscribers, mind you. I think I only have 3, and I'm only making like $240 a year from it. But most of my stuff is free, so if you want to check that out, go ahead. All you need is an email address. No payment required. Just thought I'd let you know. But anyways, like, it's just like, this is good. We need more people being deported by ICE. We need ICE to take the gloves off, and I know this is controversial to say, because a couple stupid people got killed a couple months back, but the gloves need to come off. There can't be any ICE reform or whatever Chuck Schumer wants to fund DHS. That's not how this works. If you're not an open border shill, then you should not be holding up DHS funding on account of reforming ICE. The Democrats say they're not open borders people, yet they just make it as hard as possible to deport anybody. That's open borders, man. Like, stop being a bad faith actor and just admit that what you want is the United States to turn into this economic zone that's akin to a global shopping mall where anybody can come in here and spend their money at the expense of the people and the culture that built this country up. That's it. That's the gist of it. That's what Schumer and the Democrats want. And some Republicans, mind you. This is also a Republican problem, because you have Republican donors who also benefit from illegal labor. So it's not just a partisan issue, even though it's mostly Democrats who advocate for this stuff. And it's like, I mean, and look here, like, you have these people, like this frickin' sovereign mind guy who's like, Obama's ICE deported 3 times as many people as Trump. No, he did not. This has been debunked. And he even says Mr. Jerome Powell, not the actual guy, but just some funny guy with a name. And it's like, many were border removals. That's true. They're just border removals. Border crossings are down compared to Obama. Yes, again, true. What Obama did was he counted turnaways at the border as deportations. That's not how it works. Oh, Biden did this too, by the way, and that's why you have these. I'm not saying that that people like this are bad people, but I do think that they're doomers, you know, because they see these headlines that say, like, oh, Obama deported this many people, and they take it at face value. But in actuality, it was because of the turnarounds. The difference between what Trump is doing and what Obama did is that Trump has actually sent the military down and has shut the border down. Obama and Biden didn't do that. While they may have been deporting some people, everybody that they deported was canceled out by the people coming in. And that's why I don't understand when you have people on the right, mind you, who talk as if Trump isn't doing anything and say, well, Obama's ICE deported 3 times as many people as Trump did. That's not the whole story. Like, I get it. You want to see the deportations continue. You want to see more. So do I. But be honest. Like, come on. Come on. And like this guy too. Like, I agree with this. That's not even close to enough. It needs to ramp up to 20,000 per day to have the 20 million illegals that are here deported by 2028. Yes, I agree. There needs to be a vast increase of deportations. But in order to do, unfortunately, here's the other problem. In order to do that, the infrastructure needs to be there. And during the 4 years of Joe Biden, the infrastructure to do this deteriorated so much that there has had to been a rebuilding of this by scratch. What does this infrastructure look like? Well, it's holding facilities. It's vehicles, it's planes, it's manpower. Manpower is the biggest one here. The big beautiful bill actually funded ICE enough to where they could get a large increase in manpower and people that are being trained to do this, to the point where I think it was the highest funded federal agency next to the Marine Corps. So we should be seeing an explosion of ICE manpower to be able to actually do all this stuff, which is good. That is a start. But again, other infrastructure like holding facilities, for example, you see stories that the administration is buying all these giant warehouses around certain locations to house thousands and thousands of people. Well, that's another thing that needs to happen. And the problem is, though, that you have states that where those warehouses are located and localities suing the administration to stop the acquisition of these warehouses to be turned into ICE holding facilities. So there are things happening, but unfortunately, due to the fact that you can sue anybody for anything in this country, it's taking a very long time for it to get done. And until the legal battles are done, I honestly then we won't be able to really. We will see incremental progress on this, but progress nonetheless. Now, what I don't believe in is I don't believe in the whole. Trump has failed us on this issue. We need to vote Democrat in 2026 and have a Democrat come into power in 2028, and then things will get so bad that people will vote freaking, I don't know, Hitler 2.0 or whatever into power, or whatever the Groypers say. That's not how that works. And now that I'm not saying that Trump is the perfect guy, and I'm not saying that you should vote Republican, because honestly, the Republican Party sucks on most issues. At least in its current form, but I'm not going to be voting for a Democrat in 2026. I'm not going to be voting for him in 2028 either. I'd respect you more if you just said you wouldn't vote. Because once that happens, like, you think you look at the UK and countries like the UK and how they have like speech laws and whatnot. That's exactly the blueprint that the Democratic Party wants for the United States, just a neoliberal, you can't say certain things, frickin' society where they'll just flood a bunch of people in, and then you'll never be able to vote your way out of anything ever again. Like, literally, the only way, if this continues, the only way you'll ever be able to get change in this country is by, and for anybody who's in the government who might be listening to this, I'm not actually advocating for this, armed insurrection. That is the only way you will be able to get anything done if you are a cultural American that has been who is seeing their numbers decline because of all the illegal aliens coming in, to the point where you'll be outnumbered by a certain point. That is the only way you will ever get things done to benefit you. Again, I'm not advocating that. I'm just stating the logical conclusion to where things go from there. And I like this. Help your country and yourself report all foreign invaders. ICE 866-DHS-2-ICE. I like these little, these little memes, or I guess you could say propaganda art that the administration pumps out sometimes. Oh yes, and then also where is it? I gotta see the Trump social about the airports. Here we go. So also Trump said that if Schumer doesn't sign on a DHS agreement to fund TSA and everything, that we're putting ICE in airports. Honestly, great. We should have been doing this already. However, I do understand that this isn't what ICE is designed to do, that TSA really ought to be handling this stuff, but, since they can't, well, we need security for our airports, so good job, Chuck, I guess, where you're going to have ICE in there. And that's the other thing that needed to be said, the manpower issue. Like, even with the expanded um, even with the expanded funding and the hiring of many new ICE agents and more than was previously possible, ICE can't be everywhere at once. They're too small of an organization at the current time to be handling both city patrols and airports, because you'll need, like, if you're going to do the job TSA has to do in airports, but your ICE, you're going to have multiple agents. I'd say probably about like maybe 50, if not more, to be handling what TSA does. Especially at those bigger airports, you'll need even more than that. And like, you'll have people complain like, "Oh, why ICE in our airports?" Well, because Chuck Schumer isn't funding DHS, which TSA falls under. You're seeing lines in airports that are like hours long, and I would, if I was in that, I'd be raging. Like, I hate sitting in airports. I hate sitting in lines in airports. I could not imagine being in an airport where I have to wait 2 hours just to get through the dang TSA line. But you know what? Again, Democrats like Chuck Schumer never see the long-term consequences of their actions. They could have just funded TSA and been like, they could have funded TSA, they could have funded DHS, and if they win an election, then unfortunately, as it is, they would have the right to set the terms. But they didn't win the election in 2024, so they're the minority party. They don't have the right to set the terms. Maybe in 2026, and maybe in November they will. Maybe in January they will. Maybe in 2028 they will. But now, it's not their time. This is just like what happened when Schumer invoked the nuclear option back in, like, what was it? No, not Schumer. It was like Harry Reid, I think. The majority leader of the Democrats before him. I forget what it was for, but he invoked the nuclear option, whereas only a simple majority was needed to vote on something. I forget what it was. It was like in 2013. And then Mitch McConnell, as much as I hate Mitch McConnell, he dropped the hardest line ever. It was like, "You will regret this later." And lo and behold, all of Trump's Supreme Court nominees got through with simple majority. So yeah, Democrats have apparently no ability to see long-term consequences. But again, before anyone blasts me for being partisan, Republicans have their issues too. But on this side, I'm inclined to agree with the Republican side here, because you cannot have, especially and again, say what you will about the Iran war, whether it should have started or not, it's already here. We cannot have our airport security not funded. But anyways, guys, this is I'm gonna end it here. Just thought I would give you some updates on the immigration front with all the other stuff going around. So, have a good night, everyone. If you enjoy this video, like, subscribe, share, subscribe to my Substack. If you like, it's free. If you want to donate to my channel, I have a Buy Me a Coffee link in the description below. You'll have to copy paste it, put it in the bar up here, because it's not giving a link for whatever reason. But anyway, have a good night, everybody. Stay safe. See you later.